Love, a precious gift, but also a challenging journey. Have you ever felt lost in your relationships? Or wondered how to build a lasting and happy love? Not every heartbreak comes from a toxic man. Sometimes, the most confusing and painful love stories involve men who are genuinely good, but not right for you. They treat you kindly, they don't play games, and on the surface, they seem perfect. But deep down, something always feels off. The truth is, goodness alone doesn't guarantee emotional safety, growth, or long-term happiness. In this video, we're uncovering 7 types of men who may be good by nature, but not meant to be your partner. Understanding the difference can save you from years of quiet disappointment. Welcome to the channel, Sophia's Knowledge, and my name is Sophia. This is where we share lessons about love, practical experiences, and secrets to building strong relationships. In today's video, Sophia will reveal to you 7 types of men who are good but not for you. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones so you can feel every word I share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Let's go. Type number 1. The man who always puts family first, even before you. At first glance, a man who prioritizes his family might seem like the perfect partner. He's loving, respectful, responsible, and loyal to those who raised him or grew up with him. These are admirable qualities that any woman would appreciate. However, what happens when his loyalty to his family comes at the cost of his relationship with you? What happens when his idea of love means you're constantly coming second, or even third? This type of man is not a bad person. He is not selfish or manipulative. In fact, he's often deeply caring and considerate. But the problem lies in his inability to create healthy emotional boundaries. When a man cannot distinguish between being a good son or brother and being a committed partner, he unintentionally causes emotional harm to the woman in his life. You may start to notice subtle signs in the beginning. Every holiday, every weekend, every important decision seems to revolve around his family. You try to make plans for a quiet weekend getaway, but he insists on visiting his parents instead. You bring up your future together, your dreams, your goals, but somehow the conversation always returns to how his family will feel about it. When you're in a relationship, it's natural to expect that your partner will build a new foundation with you. You expect that he'll begin creating a life that includes you, not one that makes you feel like a permanent guest in the world he already has. But with this kind of man, you might find yourself feeling excluded or invisible. He consults his mother before he consults you. He takes advice from his sister more seriously than he takes your heartfelt concerns. He lets his family make decisions that affect both of you, without even involving you in the conversation. It's not about disrespect. It's about misplaced priorities. This dynamic can slowly erode your sense of security in the relationship. You begin to feel like you're competing for his attention. You try harder, give more, sacrifice your own needs, just to earn a place in his already crowded heart. But the more you try to fit in, the more you realize that his heart was never open to building something separate with you. His loyalty is noble, but it's also inflexible. A man who always puts his family first may also struggle to stand up for you when it matters most. Imagine being hurt by something a family member said or did, and instead of defending you, he remains silent, or worse, he takes their side. Not because he doesn't care about you, but because he's afraid of rocking the boat. In his mind, maintaining harmony with his family is more important than standing up for your feelings. Over time, this lack of support can become deeply painful. Love should feel like a safe place. It should feel like home. But with this man, you might feel like a visitor trying to earn her keep, always trying to prove that you matter just as much. It's important to understand that this man doesn't need to be cut out of your life, but he may not be the one to build a life with. He may be an incredible friend, a devoted brother, a responsible son, but not the right man for a serious relationship where mutual respect and shared priorities are key. Healthy relationships require balance. They require emotional independence from our families so that we can make decisions that serve the relationship. If a man can't say no to his family when necessary, if he can't place you beside him as an equal partner, then the love you share will never feel complete. You deserve to be someone's priority, not just someone who fits in around their schedule. You deserve to be loved with intention, with boundaries, and with the courage to build something new. A good man is not always the right man, and it takes wisdom to know the difference. Walking away from a man who is otherwise kind and decent can be difficult. But staying with someone who constantly places you second can slowly break your spirit. You'll begin to shrink, to silence your own voice, to justify your fading happiness. Don't settle for partial love. Don't convince yourself that being with someone who is good to his family means he will eventually be good for you. It doesn't always work that way. Love requires more than good intentions. It requires action, choices, and clarity. What do you think of this lesson? Have you applied something similar in your life? Please share your thoughts or stories in the comments. I will read and respond quickly. Thank you for your attention. Let's continue together. Type number 2. The man who's nice to everyone but has no boundaries. At first, being with a man who is kind to everyone may seem like a dream come true. He's warm, friendly, helpful, and always smiling. People love being around him. He makes others feel seen and appreciated. To many, he seems like the ideal partner, charming, generous, and easy to be with. But behind this gentle exterior, there can be a subtle yet serious issue: he doesn't know how to set boundaries. This type of man doesn't intend to hurt you. He doesn't mean to make you feel insecure or unimportant. In fact, he likely sees his kindness as one of his strongest traits. But when kindness is offered to everyone with no sense of limit or awareness of how it affects a relationship, it can easily become a source of pain. You may begin to notice it in small ways. He responds instantly to messages from female friends, even late at night. He offers rides, favors, and deep emotional support to women he barely knows. He never says no to anyone, even when it's clearly inconvenient or disrespectful to you. And when you bring it up, he's confused. "I was just helping," he says. "It didn't mean anything." But to you, it does mean something. It means your relationship has no clear lines. It means your comfort and emotional safety are being overlooked in the name of being the nice guy. It means he's unwilling, or perhaps unable, to recognize the difference between being kind and being careless. A man who has no boundaries may also struggle to recognize emotional intimacy with others as a potential threat to your connection. He might confide in other women about personal issues before he talks to you. He might downplay your feelings by saying you're overreacting or being jealous. But what he fails to see is that boundaries are not about control. They are about respect. Being kind is not the same as being available to everyone at all times. A man in a committed relationship should have the wisdom to protect the emotional space he shares with his partner. That means sometimes saying no. That means sometimes choosing discretion over popularity. That means understanding that not every person deserves the same version of him that you do. The man who has no boundaries often wants to be liked by everyone. He fears disappointing people. He avoids conflict. He wants to be the good guy in every situation. But in trying to be good to everyone, he forgets to be great for you. He spreads his energy thin, and in doing so, he leaves you feeling neglected and unimportant. You begin to feel like you're in competition with the world. Every time you express discomfort, he defends his actions. Every time you ask for more exclusivity in the emotional space you share, he acts as if you're being too much. Slowly, your voice becomes quieter. You start questioning your standards. You wonder if you're just being too sensitive. But your intuition is not wrong. Every healthy relationship requires boundaries. It requires a clear understanding of what is appropriate and what is not. When your partner lacks those boundaries, it is not a reflection of your insecurity, it is a reflection of his immaturity. Over time, this can erode the trust and stability in your relationship. You may begin to feel emotionally unsafe. You may feel exposed, like your connection is open for everyone to walk through. There's nothing sacred, nothing that belongs just to the two of you. Love needs protection. And when it's constantly being shared or diluted, it loses its depth. A man who is nice to everyone but has no boundaries can be exhausting to love. You will always be explaining, justifying, forgiving. You will spend more time managing your hurt than experiencing joy. He may never cheat on you physically, but emotional disrespect can be just as damaging. What you need is not a man who is universally liked. You need a man who values your feelings more than he values being seen as nice by the world. You need a man who can say no when it matters. Who can recognize that the most important person to be good to is you. This kind of change requires self-awareness and maturity. And while some men do grow into this, many stay stuck in the habit of people-pleasing, at the cost of intimacy. If he can't see that boundaries are an act of love, not restriction, then he may never be able to build the kind of deep, secure relationship you deserve. Kindness is a virtue. But without discernment, it becomes confusion. Without commitment, it becomes chaos. The man who has no boundaries may be sweet, charming, and full of good intentions. But sometimes, good intentions are not enough to build a life together. In the end, you need more than a man who is good to everyone. You need one who is devoted to you, and courageous enough to protect what the two of you share. If you are still watching the video, do not hesitate to comment continue. Leave your thoughts and questions below in the comment section. I look forward to hearing your opinions, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that Sophia has more motivation to create more good and meaningful videos. Let's continue together. Type number 3. The man who loves his work too much and has no time for love. Ambition is attractive. There is something undeniably compelling about a man who knows what he wants and works tirelessly to achieve it. He's disciplined, focused, and full of drive. He talks about goals, dreams, and success with a passion that lights up the room. But what happens when that same passion leaves no room for you? What happens when love becomes a side project he never truly has time to invest in? The man who is deeply in love with his work is not a bad man. In fact, he might be one of the most hardworking, responsible, and determined individuals you've ever met. But his relationship with his career often comes before everything else. His job is not just something he does, it's who he is. And because of that, love becomes an afterthought, not a priority. At the beginning, you might feel proud to be with someone so driven. You admire his commitment and feel inspired by his energy. You tell yourself he's building a future and that you're lucky to be part of that journey. But slowly, you begin to realize that you're not actually part of the journey at all. You're watching it from the sidelines. Dates get cancelled. Phone calls become brief and rushed. Important moments in your life pass without his presence. You spend more evenings alone than together. And even when he is physically present, his mind is elsewhere, buried in emails, meetings, deadlines, and business calls. You start to feel like you're competing with his work, and you're always losing. What's most painful is that he never intends to hurt you. He believes he's doing everything for the future, for us, as he might say. But in reality, there is no us being built when one person is always emotionally unavailable. A relationship cannot thrive on potential. It needs time, presence, and shared moments in the now. A man who is consumed by his work may even see love as a distraction. He might avoid emotional intimacy because it slows him down. He believes love will interfere with his schedule, complicate his plans, or demand energy he's unwilling to give. So instead, he keeps love at arm's length. You may be with him, but you never really feel with him. Over time, this can become incredibly lonely. You begin to question your worth in the relationship. You wonder if you're asking for too much, or if perhaps you should lower your expectations. You start making excuses for him, to yourself, to your friends, even to your own heart. But deep down, you know the truth. Love without time is not love. It's longing. Being in love with someone who is already married to their work creates a painful imbalance. You are constantly adapting to his life, his schedule, his goals. You celebrate his victories, stand by during his failures, and wait patiently during his busy seasons, which never seem to end. But when it comes to your needs, your emotions, your dreams, there is silence. This kind of relationship often leads to emotional burnout. You become exhausted trying to feel seen. You crave connection but receive crumbs of attention. You begin to shrink, to lose pieces of yourself, all while pretending that everything is fine. But it's not fine. It's empty. It's one-sided. It's unfulfilling. The truth is, love cannot survive without time. Time is the language of connection. It is how we show presence, how we build trust, how we grow together. A man who has no time for you will eventually have no space in your heart. Not because you stopped loving him, but because you finally realized you deserve more. It's important to understand that ambition and love do not have to be enemies. There are men who know how to balance both. They succeed in their careers while still showing up for their partners. They understand that a fulfilling life includes connection, not just accomplishments. They make time, not because they have it, but because you matter. If a man is unwilling to prioritize you, no matter how busy he is, then you are not truly part of his life. You are an accessory, not a partner. You are a comfort, not a commitment. And that is not the kind of love you deserve. Walking away from someone who seems so admirable can be difficult. But admiration alone is not enough. You need presence. You need consistency. You need to feel like you're walking with someone, not chasing after them. The man who loves his work too much may always find a reason to be busy. But one day, he may look around and realize that success feels hollow when there's no one left to share it with. And by then, you will be long gone, having chosen a life where love is not postponed, but prioritized. Type number 5. The man who always needs saving or depends on you too much. There is something deeply touching about a man who opens up about his struggles. He might share his fears, his failures, or the wounds he carries from his past. His vulnerability can feel raw and real. It stirs your compassion, makes you want to hold him close, and gives you a sense of purpose in loving him. But when vulnerability becomes dependence, and struggle becomes identity, the relationship turns into something far heavier than love. It becomes a burden. The man who always needs saving does not necessarily mean to manipulate you. In fact, he may genuinely be hurting, lost, or stuck. He might be battling financial troubles, emotional instability, lack of direction, or low self-worth. But instead of taking responsibility for his own healing and growth, he leans entirely on you. He depends on your strength to survive. And while that might make you feel important at first, it eventually drains you. You become his emotional crutch, his motivator, his problem solver. When he is overwhelmed, he calls you. When life feels too heavy, he leans on you to carry the weight. You begin to play the role of caretaker, always stepping in, always sacrificing, always fixing. Slowly, the balance of love shifts. You give, and he takes. You support, and he depends. And the more you try to help, the more you lose sight of your own needs. At first, you might believe your love can rescue him. You think if you're just patient enough, strong enough, or loving enough, he will find his way. You see glimpses of potential in him, his kindness, his intelligence, his charm. You imagine who he could be if he could only stand on his own 2 feet. But the painful truth is, some people don't want to stand. They prefer to be carried. The man who always needs saving will often avoid taking real accountability for his life. He may blame his past, his circumstances, or others for his situation. He may make promises to improve, only to fall back into the same patterns. He may say he wants to change, but rely on you to make those changes happen. And each time he falters, you are there, supporting, forgiving, trying again. This cycle is not just exhausting. It's emotionally dangerous. Because it slowly teaches you that your worth is tied to how much you can endure. You start measuring love by how much pain you're willing to accept. You begin to believe that love means sacrifice, that your role is to heal instead of to be cherished. But love is not supposed to feel like a rescue mission. It is supposed to be a partnership. A relationship built on uneven ground will never feel stable. You may find yourself walking on emotional eggshells, trying not to trigger his insecurities. You may begin hiding your own pain, believing you don't have the right to express it because his problems are always bigger. You may stop pursuing your dreams because you're too busy holding his world together. And that is not love. That is emotional codependency. You are not responsible for someone else's healing. You can walk beside them, encourage them, and support them, but you cannot do the inner work for them. If a man refuses to grow, to rise, to take ownership of his life, then no amount of love will save him. And in trying to save him, you may lose yourself. A healthy relationship requires 2 whole individuals. Not perfect people, but people who are actively working on themselves. People who bring strength to each other, not dependency. People who rise together, not one carrying the other. You deserve to be with someone who adds to your life, not someone who takes away your energy, your peace, and your sense of self. The man who always needs saving may offer affection, even gratitude. But gratitude is not love. Comfort is not commitment. And being needed is not the same as being chosen. You are not a lifeline. You are a woman worthy of respect, of partnership, of emotional balance. Walking away from this kind of relationship is hard, especially when you care deeply. You may feel guilt, even shame, for leaving someone who needs you. But you must remember this: needing someone is not the same as loving them. And you were not put on this earth to be someone's emotional rescue boat. True love requires mutual strength. It requires 2 people who can stand on their own, and choose to walk forward together. You deserve that kind of love. A love that lifts, not one that weighs you down. A love that grows, not one that survives only through your sacrifice. In the end, love should empower you, not exhaust you. And if you find yourself constantly saving someone else, perhaps it's time to save yourself. Type number 6. The man who doesn't share your core values. There's something incredibly exciting about falling in love with someone who seems different from you. His background, his perspective, his lifestyle, it all feels new, refreshing, and even magnetic. You tell yourself that opposites attract. You believe that love can bridge any gap. And in some cases, it can. But when the differences are rooted in values, not preferences or hobbies, what begins as charming can soon become deeply conflicting. Core values are not just ideas you casually hold. They are the invisible architecture of your life. They influence your choices, your beliefs, your priorities, and your sense of purpose. When 2 people don't share the same values, even the strongest chemistry can eventually collapse under the weight of constant misunderstandings and misalignment. The man who doesn't share your values may still be a good person. He might be kind, honest, and full of love in his own way. But if he fundamentally sees the world differently from you, your relationship will feel like you're constantly speaking different emotional languages. You may try to compromise. You may try to adapt. But the truth is, there are some things love alone cannot change. You might value ambition and self-discipline, while he values comfort and going with the flow. You may prioritize personal growth, education, or career, while he is content with where he is. You may believe in giving back to the community or living a minimalist, purpose-driven life, while he seeks material success and external validation. Neither of you is wrong. But if your paths lead in opposite directions, staying together may cost you your peace. At first, these differences might not feel like a big deal. You focus on the attraction, the emotional connection, and the good times. You downplay the uncomfortable moments. You tell yourself it's just a phase, or that love will eventually bring you both onto the same page. But time reveals what chemistry hides. And soon, you start to feel a quiet dissonance, like you're walking the same road, but for entirely different reasons. You may begin to feel isolated in your decisions. When you talk about your dreams or goals, he may not understand or support them. When you face moral dilemmas or life choices, he may choose differently, not out of disrespect, but from a place of entirely different values. And every time that happens, a small part of you feels unseen, unheard, or simply not understood. The most painful part is that you still love him. You still see the good in him. You still wish it could work. But love without shared values often feels like love without direction. You can't build a home with someone who wants to build on a completely different foundation. No matter how much effort you put in, if you're pulling in different directions, the relationship becomes a struggle instead of a source of peace. Compromise is healthy, but sacrificing your core beliefs to make someone else comfortable is not. If you begin to silence your voice, dim your vision, or lower your standards just to keep the relationship going, you're no longer being true to yourself. And a love that requires you to betray yourself is not love, it's dependency. Sometimes, people confuse chemistry with compatibility. They believe that passion equals potential. But compatibility is not about how much fun you have together. It's about how well your lives fit. It's about having shared visions, shared priorities, and shared definitions of what a meaningful life looks like. Without that alignment, love becomes confusing, frustrating, and often heartbreaking. The man who doesn't share your values may never ask you to change. But he also may never change himself. He may be perfectly content with the way things are, while you continue to hope for growth or deeper alignment. And that difference in pace and purpose can leave you feeling alone, even when you're in a relationship. Choosing to walk away from someone because of differing values is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of clarity. It means you respect yourself enough to know what truly matters. It means you are no longer willing to shrink yourself to fit a life that was never meant for you. And it means you're making space for the kind of love that aligns with who you are, not just how you feel. You deserve a relationship where your values are not only respected but shared. Where you're not constantly explaining yourself, but effortlessly understood. Where your dreams are not just tolerated, but celebrated. That kind of connection creates a love that doesn't just survive, it thrives. In the end, a life built on shared values is a life that lasts. And the man who doesn't share yours, no matter how wonderful he may be in other ways, might simply not be the one meant to walk beside you on your path. Type number 7. The man you love deeply, but who doesn't love you enough. There is no heartbreak quite like loving someone with your whole heart and slowly realizing they don't love you the same way. It's not always obvious at first. In fact, it often starts beautifully. You fall in love with his presence, his smile, the little things he does that make your heart flutter. You believe in the potential. You hope that with time, effort, and patience, he will grow into the kind of partner you need. But deep down, you begin to sense a quiet imbalance. This man might not be cruel. He might not lie, cheat, or hurt you intentionally. He might show up when it's convenient, say the right things in moments of affection, and occasionally make you feel special. But love is not measured by random gestures. It's measured by consistency, effort, and emotional availability. And if you are always the one reaching, giving, forgiving, and hoping, then something is missing. Loving someone more than they love you is not a noble act. It's an emotional trap that slowly drains your spirit. You start bending to fit their needs while yours go unmet. You plan your days around their availability. You accept less and convince yourself it's enough. You justify their distance, their silence, their lack of interest, telling yourself they're just busy, bad at communication, or not ready. But love doesn't need endless explanations. When it's real and mutual, it feels certain. The man who doesn't love you enough may still care about you in his own way. But caring and choosing are two different things. He may enjoy your company but hesitate to commit. He may want you around but never fight to keep you. He may respond to your love but never initiate his own. You find yourself carrying the emotional weight of the relationship while he casually walks beside you, unaware of how heavy it feels. You make excuses because your love is genuine. You want to believe that your consistency will inspire his clarity, that your devotion will ignite his desire. But it rarely works that way. A man who isn't fully invested from the start will rarely grow into someone who is. And the more you give to someone who isn't giving back, the more you teach yourself to accept less than you deserve. Over time, this kind of love chips away at your confidence. You begin to question your worth. You wonder if you're too emotional, too needy, too intense. You shrink yourself to appear low maintenance, hoping that if you just ask for less, he'll love you more. But that's not how love works. True love does not require silence. It does not ask you to dim your light to be accepted. The most painful realization is this: you can love someone with all your heart, and it still might not be enough to make them stay, choose you, or love you back the way you need. And that has nothing to do with your value. It's not a reflection of your beauty, your kindness, or your capacity to love. It's simply a truth about misaligned hearts. You are not hard to love. You're just trying to be loved by someone who doesn't know how to hold what you offer. Leaving a man who doesn't love you enough takes immense courage. Because the love you feel is real. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do, for yourself, is to let go of someone who is only half in. You deserve more than a relationship filled with doubt and waiting. You deserve to feel chosen every single day, not just when it's convenient for someone else. There is someone out there who will not hesitate. Who will not make you beg for attention, affection, or reassurance. Someone who will match your energy, your love, your loyalty. But you will never find them if you're busy clinging to someone who only gives you pieces of themselves. It's time to stop confusing intensity with intimacy. Stop believing that your love alone can fix what's missing. Love should feel safe, mutual, and secure, not anxious, one-sided, and uncertain. The man who doesn't love you enough may not be a bad person, but he's not the right person. And knowing the difference is how you protect your heart. The most powerful kind of love begins with the love you give yourself. When you start choosing peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and self-worth over silent suffering, you no longer settle for less. You walk away, not because you stopped loving him, but because you finally started loving yourself more. And that's when the right love finds you, the kind that doesn't make you question your worth, but reminds you of it every day. Conclusion. Not every good man is the right man for you. That's a truth many women learn the hard way, through heartache, confusion, and the quiet ache of unmet emotional needs. The men we've explored in this series are not villains. They are not cruel or broken beyond repair. They may be kind, responsible, charming, even full of potential. But the reality is, love is not just about how good someone is, it's about how well two hearts fit together. A man who always puts his family first, a man who lacks boundaries, a man too consumed by work, a man stuck in his past, a man who leans on you too heavily, a man with different values, or a man who doesn't love you enough. Each of them may have qualities that are admirable. But if you constantly feel unheard, unseen, or unloved, then no amount of kindness can replace what is missing. Choosing to walk away from someone who is good but not right for you is an act of strength. It's an act of self-respect. It means you are no longer settling for love that feels incomplete. It means you are holding out for a love that meets you where you are, grows with you, and honors your heart. You deserve a love that feels like home, not a test of endurance. So be brave enough to let go of almost, and make room for something real. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so excited to share my lessons about love and relationships with you. I hope you learned something new and can apply it to your life. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for always accompanying and supporting me. Have a great day and don't forget to love yourself a lot.